At his command, 3 deadly torpedoes were launched, racing through the water, heading toward the shadows of the ship. For legendsoffaith.org, I'm Rob Cutter. It was a cold February night as the Allied ship Dorchester, with 902 servicemen on board, was chugging along through the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. The ship left the harbors of St. John's, Newfoundland for its 5th North Atlantic voyage to Greenland, hitting bad weather almost as soon as it entered open water. As they were sailing through dangerous waters, the ship's captain announced that every soldier was ordered to sleep in their clothes and life jackets. The warning to the crew was that the next few hours would be the most dangerous. On board the ship that night were 4 chaplains who had vastly different backgrounds, but their similar experiences brought them together with their mission to serve God and man. To help ease the tensions on board, the chaplains threw together an impromptu talent show that would help brighten the mood as they sailed through Torpedo Junction. As the clock ticked past midnight, many on board began to breathe easier, with the knowledge that they were near safe waters and they would soon be under an umbrella of protection from Greenland-based planes. As the festivities ended, 3 of the chaplains made the rounds on the ship in an attempt to raise the men's spirits. Meanwhile, the 4th chaplain was leading a worship service in the mess area. The Nazis became aware that the Dorchester was sailing to Greenland, so 4 U-boats were dispatched to the area, following the ship from all sides a few thousand yards away. On one of the 4 U-boats, a young commander, making his inaugural voyage, was carefully navigating his U-boat in the fog and darkness, with his eyes fixed on the Dorchester. It was time to make his move. The Nazi torpedo man prepared to fire 3 torpedoes. At his command, 3 deadly torpedoes were launched, racing through the water, heading toward the shadows of the ship. Back on board the Dorchester, the sailors were winding down at the end of a fun night. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning when one of the torpedoes ripped into the Dorchester's starboard side. The ensuing explosion created a massive hole near the engine room from below the waterline to the top deck. The lights went out, steam pipes split, and bunks collapsed like cards, one on top of another. The sounds of screaming and the smell of gunpowder and ammonia filled the air. The initial explosion killed dozens outright, and a wave of cold water entering the ship quickly drowned dozens and trapped sailors underneath the wreckage. Nearly 1/3 of those on board died in the first moments of the disaster. In the chaos of the fire and smoke, those 4 chaplains responded the best way they knew how. They did their best to calm the sailors. All 4 of them were handing out life jackets and guiding the survivors towards the upper decks and to the lifeboats. When they ran out of life jackets, the 4 chaplains saw 4 sailors without theirs. Without any hesitation, all 4 of the chaplains gave up their own life jackets, knowing that it certainly meant they themselves would die. As the ship began to sink, witnesses watching from their lifeboats, Chaplain Lieutenant George L. Fox, Lieutenant Clark V. Poling, Lieutenant John P. Washington, and Lieutenant Alexander D. Good were bowing their heads in prayer with their arms linked, bracing themselves on the slanting deck as they sank to their icy deaths. Of the 902 sailors on board, the Dorchester had only 230 survivors. With the heroic actions of those 4 chaplains, we are reminded of John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. In the aftermath of the disaster, the story of the 4 chaplains garnered popular notice. On December 19, 1944, they were each awarded the Purple Hearts and the Distinguished Service Cross. In 1948, the U.S. Postal Service issued a commemorative stamp in their honor, and Congress designated February 3rd as Four Chaplains Day. And it was 12 years later, Congress created the Four Chaplains Medal, which was presented to their survivors. The survivors' testimony and the chaplains' bravery are enshrined at the Chapel of Four Chaplains in Philadelphia Navy Yard, where the Chapel Memorial Foundation honors acts of selfless service nationwide in memory of the 4 chaplains and crew of the U.S. AT Dorchester. For more stories like this and for ways to donate, visit us at legendsoffaith.org.